State of Michigan is trying to seize a home that previously belonged to a person of interest in a murder investigation.
In documents filed in federal court this week, they argue that home was refurbished using proceeds from the sale of illegal drugs. Michael Martin live in the control room to explain the case and the state's legal standing. Michael.
Janice, Max, this house that we're talking about, it was previously owned by Anthony Azamaro, who was named a person of interest in his ex-girlfriend's murder back in 2019. So during that investigation, he ends up being arrested and later convicted on drug charges. With his house empty, his half-brother moves in. Well, police believe that he started then selling drugs out of that home as well. And now the state is looking to take that house.
If they believe that they can trace what the drug dealer has purchased by the proceeds of drug trafficking, they can then take that asset.
In March of 2019, a Kalamazoo man named Anthony Azamaro was being investigated for the murder of his ex-girlfriend, Nicole Riojas. Police executed a search warrant at his home, 524 Florence Street, and ended up finding this, a large Ziploc bag containing just over 250 grams of crystal meth. He was convicted of possession with intent to distribute and sentenced to 14 years in prison. With the home on Florence empty, Azamaro's half-brother, Tyrone Henderson, moved in. According to court documents, by September 2022, police began suspecting that Henderson was now selling drugs out of the house. An undercover informant was sent in on 4 occasions, allegedly buying meth and fentanyl from Henderson. They later searched his home, where they found over $200,000 worth of illegal drugs, 3 semi-automatic rifles, an AM-15 rifle, and a stolen .40 cal handgun.
Many years ago, our legislature determined that drug dealers were not being deterred in drug trafficking because the cost of doing business was simply going to jail. And they could go to jail for a while and then get out of jail and still enjoy the bounty, the spoils of their trafficking.
On Wednesday, the U.S. Attorney's Office for West Michigan filed a civil forfeiture action looking to seize 524 Florence Street, along with 6 pieces of high-end jewelry that Henderson was wearing when he was arrested, valued at over $40,000.
And they have to prove, if they're going to take somebody's property, if it's a house, that the house was being used to facilitate trafficking. Even using money, drug money, to improve a home. If the government can prove that those improvements were traced to proceeds of trafficking, then the answer to your question is yes, they may take the property.
The state argues that Henderson made significant repairs and renovations to the home after moving in, using illegal drug proceeds to do it. But
just because the government says you've done something, as you know, it doesn't always mean it's true.
Defendants in this case will have a chance to argue the house and jewelry should not be seized at an upcoming federal court hearing.
In other words, they show in a proceeds case, hey, my inheritance from my great uncle was $60,000. I took that inheritance and I put 30 into the house and I put 30 into the jewelry. And so it's a matter of proof, just like any other lawsuit.
And a hearing has not yet been set in federal court. At this point, both Azamaro and Henderson remain behind bars. For now, live in the control room, Michael Martin, Fox 17 News.